Volodymyr Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, made an appeal to the European Parliament to allow Ukraine to join the European Union. Now, his speech was so powerful and so emotional that even the translator lost his composure. Let's take a look at the first video.
We are fighting just for our land and for our freedom. Despite the fact that all large cities of our country are now blocked, nobody is going to enter and intervene with our freedom and country. And believe you me, every square of today, no matter what it's called, it's going to be called, as today, Freedom Square.
And he mentions Freedom Square because of the attacks that Ukraine has been dealing with, the lives that were lost with these Russian attacks. And it was a powerful speech, and he's honestly a pretty strong leader. I mean, when you think about other countries that are under attack and how quickly their presidents or prime ministers or leaders are evacuated out of the country, it's easy to juxtapose those situations with what we're seeing in Ukraine, with Zelensky not only remaining in Ukraine, but continuing to fight and continuing to boost the morale of Ukrainian citizens and the Ukrainian soldiers who continue to fight despite all odds, really. I mean, again, Putin really saw this as something that would be easy to carry out. It was a huge miscalculation on his part. It's taking much longer than he expected. Logistically, it looks like the Russian troops are really struggling. I hope it remains that way. I hope this ends as soon as possible. And they are planning on holding another round of potential peace talks. So hopefully that goes better than the first round of talks. But Cenk, before we go to more video of this, any thoughts?
Yeah, so CNN also did an interview with Zelensky in his bunker, and he's also using media brilliantly. And my God, he's done a fantastic job. I mean, he's checked off every box. Smart, brave, the good guy. But guys, good guy or bad guy, that kind of courage actually does swing conflicts. It swings momentum. It's real. We're all humans, and it affects us psychologically. So I'll give you an example from a guy who's not necessarily a good guy, Erdogan. When they were doing the coup in Turkey, it's always impossible to know to what degree this is true, right? But the story was, and it affected the public, that they bombed the hotel that Erdogan was in when they were doing the coup. They got him onto the plane safely, and they said, where should we fly? Switzerland, or where should we go? Because they're doing the middle of a coup and they're trying to kill you. He said, no, fly right back into the middle of Istanbul where they're doing the coup, and we're gonna land the plane in the middle of Istanbul because that's our city. And when he did that, his side, which by the way is not my side in Turkey, was not on the side of the coup either. It's complicated, but his side went ballistic. They loved it. They swarmed the tanks on foot and lost a lot of civilians doing that, but they would not let the tanks go forward. Okay, so now when Zelensky comes and says, no, I stay and I fight, and he has so many great quotes, but I'll give you one of them. He said the Americans called him for an evacuation because that's normal protocol. And he said, I don't need a ride, I need ammunition. The real fight is here. Oh, come on, who doesn't love this guy? And he doesn't have any of the baggage of Erdogan or anyone else. He just appears to be a good guy with incredible courage and a strong fight in him that's made a giant difference in this war. The Russians did not expect the Ukrainians to be this strong. They're in for a rude awakening. So I love what the Ukrainians are doing.
So you're definitely seeing strength from Zelensky and Ukrainians, and you're also seeing this united front, internationally speaking, to condemn Putin. Some countries are trying to straddle a little bit because of their economic interests with Russia, but they aren't saying that what Putin's doing is okay, with the exception of Belarus. Belarus seems to be on the side of Vladimir Putin unequivocally here. Now, with that said, Sergei Lavrov was treated the way that you would expect the way you would expect him to be treated on the international stage. So he's the foreign minister of Russia, and he was about to speak when diplomats decided they weren't so interested. Let's go to A3.
Tiene la palabra su excelencia, el señor Sergei Lavrov, Ministro de Asuntos Extranjeros de la Federación Rusa. Tiene la palabra Su Excelencia.
Уважаемые дамы и господа,
So for those of you listening to the audio version of the show, more than 100 diplomats at the UN walked out just as the Russian foreign minister was gonna speak.
Yeah, and so I looked at his speech. Almost everything in the speech was a lie. So obviously the move was symbolic, but also there really wasn't anything to listen to anyway. So he didn't come with any kind of compromise, with any kind of hope. He just came with, oh my God, we're the victims here, and there was nothing we could do but invade that other country. So everyone was right to leave, and it was a powerful moment. You see, Zelensky in his basically close to military fatigues, saying, hey, there he is, right? They bombed our Freedom Square, and from now on, everything is going to be Freedom Square. They killed all these children. And then Lavrov comes with a bunch of BS about, oh, poor put upon Russia, we had to kill them all. No, you get up, you leave the room, and and guys, it's not just, ha, we showed you. No, this makes a giant difference because the most important part of the solidarity is walling off Russia economically. And so if all of those countries remain united in their opposition to Russia, I don't know how long Russia can last. I don't know how long Ukraine can last when they start bombing Kyiv, but Russia economically is so badly damaged, they might be on more borrowed time. Again, look, this is important. Putin did not expect this kind of solidarity that you're seeing visibly in that tape, okay? So he thought, well, look, I did Chechnya and I brutalized them, I massacred them, and nobody cared. Now, but Chechnya was more considered an internal affair. It doesn't make it right, but it was, the West did not have as much sympathy. Others might have had sympathy, but the West is where the power is, right? And the Chechens are largely Muslims. And then he took a piece of Ukraine and he didn't get a lot of pushback. And then in Syria, massacre after massacre, right? And no one cared. But Syria was a mess. It was a civil war. People couldn't tell who was on what side. There were good guys and bad guys all over the place. And it was also brown people and Muslims, and no one cared, right? So he assumed this is gonna be easy and no one's gonna care. Well, he was wrong, because the West looks at Ukrainians and goes, there but for the grace of God go I. They can relate to Ukrainians. Now that's not right. You wish that they could relate to the Syrians, the Chechens. What the Saudis are doing to Yemen is outrageous. We wish that everyone would relate just as much to those people.
I mean, we're bombing Somalia as we speak. Let's also be clear about that.
Exactly. So while we're being heroic against Russia, we're doing terrible things in other countries. But like it or not, that's the facts on the ground. And when all those Europeans and all those Americans see people they know, like Klitschko, who's a former heavyweight champion, saying, I will stay and I will fight, they get riled up. And let's be honest, they see white people that look like them and they think, oh, I saw a video of a white kid who got bombed and then killed and the doctors are crying in the hospital, right? I care about it whether it's a white kid, a brown kid, or a black kid, and I'm not impugning bad intent on anyone, right? It's just natural human instinct that they go, oh my God, that looks like my kid, right? And so all of the West is like, oh no, hell no, you're not doing this. One other factor is that, look, land wars in Europe don't end well. And so now he's in Europe, so obviously the Europeans care and they remember what the Germans did.
Right.
And so they don't want to repeat that mistake of appeasement. So that is why Putin miscalculated on a grand scale.
Right, and I do think that he felt he had way more leverage because of the fact that it's an oil producing country than he really had. So it's interesting to see the unity, hopefully it continues, but more importantly, hopefully the war ends. So let's cross our fingers that the next round of talks end with some sort of ceasefire, because innocent people are losing their lives as a result of this aggression.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.